You know those movies that after you watch, you really don't know exactly what to think of? You know, those movies. But what it feels like one of those obscure festival thrillers that slipped under the radar, quietly disturbing, strangely intimate, and almost impossible to shake off. On the surface, it's a film about a young woman who meets a handsome stranger, only to discover that he keeps a man dressed as a dog in his home. Creepy and weird. I know. Beneath that shocking premise lies a haunting dissection of abuse, wealth, power, and the human capacity to normalize horror when it comes wrapped in charm and luxury. In this video, we're gonna break down not just the plot, but why Good Boy is one of the most interesting movies I ever seen, and how he uses its characters and unsettling atmosphere to critique our willingness to compromise morality for comfort. And if you've been to this channel enough, you know that I like different things. Welcome to the series The Genius Of, and today we're gonna talk about a movie for the first time. Let's talk about Good Boy. And by the way, this video contains spoilers, so either watch the movie before you watch this video or be aware of that. Let's get into it. Good Boy from 2022 is a deceptively small film at just over 75 minutes. Directed by, let me try this, Vidar Boe, Norwegian filmmaker who was also a writer, director, editor, and occasionally actor, originally from Bergen. Vidar works are known for its psychological tension with characters on the edge of societal norms. With a minimalist, low-budget recording approach, it was shot in 15 days with a small crew, and with Vidar doing most of the work on editing and sound engineering, like he mentioned on his own YouTube channel.
We shot the entire film in just 15 days. With a crew of 4 people and a cast of 4 actors, every day felt like a sprint. Everyone on set wore multiple hats. I was directing and operating camera. The crew was incredibly resourceful, stepping in to take on roles beyond their usual responsibilities. This was a crucial part of the process. Being able to wear multiple hats kept the production moving and made it feel like we were all working toward the same goal. Without the resources to hire an editing team or sound designers, I took on both tasks myself. I was learning as I went, teaching myself how to color grade and mix sound. The goal was to maintain a natural, grounded feel. We wanted the film to feel like it had a certain warmth in some moments and an eerie coldness in others. Sound design was equally important. I knew the film needed a strong audio presence to match its disturbing tone. I worked with our sound recordist to mix the film in 5.1 surround sound, which was another first for me. Creating an immersive auditory experience that complemented the visual tension was key to enhancing the overall atmosphere of the film.
The movie was premiered on Beyond Fest in LA and became an instant sensation soon after, with both of his most important trailers on YouTube hitting almost 1.5 million views combined. The story follows Sigrid, a young student that meets Christian on a dating app, and at the beginning he appears almost too good to be true. Good looking, wealthy, and attentive to her. And early romance seems like a fantasy with gourmet meals, candlelight conversations, and also the relief of finding someone who finally seems invested. Suddenly, Christian introduced her to Frank, his dog. Well, not a dog, but a man dressed in one, with fur, crawling, eating from bowls, sleeping on a canal, and barking. When questioned first, Christians say that Frank chooses this life, that he's happy this way. When Sigurd recoils, she doesn't leave completely, but she slowly begins a process of rationalization. She Googles puppy play, try to put Frank's condition as a fetish or lifestyle, and tells herself that perhaps it's just another eccentric, wealthy man. That absurd slowly becomes tolerable until she realizes that situation is nothing what it seems. Frank's presence is the film's central symbol. On the surface, the audience can relate to him with elements of BDSM and puppy play, but his role is not erotic in the typical sense. It's more existential than anything else. There's a lot of interpretations on Frank's role in the film, but the one that makes more sense to me is that Frank is a metaphor for victims of long-term abuse. People who, after years of coercion, adapt to the oppression until it feels natural. Frank's tragic passively asks us to confront how much of a choice is shaped by manipulation. His quote-unquote dog identity leaves no room for dialogue, no space for personal history, and we never truly know Frank. And the absence is part of the initial horror. His owner Christian is one of those predators that never looks like one in the eyes of normal society. He's gorgeous, sophisticated, and wealthy, which seems like everything a young woman like Sigrid is taught to desire. Yet beneath this lies a man who thrives on control. He's not violent because he doesn't need to be. His wealth and charm do the work for him. I feel like he's almost like a soft version of Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. Not quite, but he has his similarities. And his lover Sigrid begins the journey with disgust, then she hesitates, then convinces herself to stay. Her choices are not the product of ignorance, but of longing for stability, affection, and safety. She represents how easily people, particularly women and vulnerable social positions, can be drawn into relationships where their boundaries are slowly ruined.
Of person in a dog costume being owned by another person I've had for several years, and then I didn't have a story for it. I just had that image, and then I started to think about like what type of person would own a person in a dog costume, and then I thought, that it couldn't be a working class person who worked the 9 to 5, or had to be somebody who had a lot of time, they had a lot of resources to, isolate themselves and have space for, this type of thing. And then he came with the idea that it should be a person who was a millionaire or had a lot of wealth. And then we got inspired a little bit by Christian, because he is kind of this, dominant character who, in BDSM, who is kind of unsympathetic in the beginning, and that the film and the book tries to sympathize. And then in this, we try to do something similar, where we kind of perhaps inverse that type of character arc with our Christian. It's the reason why Christian is named Christian from.
Yes.
It's a little nod to 50 Shades.
So what's exactly the movie about? At its core, Good Boy is about gaslighting. Christian never argues with Sigrid's discomfort. Instead, he calmly reframes until she starts doubting herself. Unfortunately, this dynamic is disturbing familiar to anyone who has endured psychological abuse, and the film critiques how wealth can hide this abuse. Christian's lifestyle and refined manners all function as camouflage. And I'm pretty sure in another setting, a man with a human pet would be criminal, weird, and not acceptable. That's a high critique from the director, that privilege not only enables abuse, but makes society complicit and ignoring it. The most troubling question of the film is whether Frank chooses to live as a dog. While Christian insists he does, Frank never contradicts him, but we later find out that it's not true. When he finally breaks out of his character, it's a chilling moment that makes Sigrid realize the situation that she's in is beyond complex and scary. Without revealing every detail, the film's conclusion is a great, disturbing ending for its already absurd plot, with no triumphant escape or punishment neatly dealt out. Instead, Good Boy leaves the viewer suspended in ambiguity. Who is the baby? Does Sigrid only stay to save him? Or did she fall in the same rabbit hole that made Frank stay for such a long time? The lack of resolution is intentional, it's dramatic, and really well crafted. I absolutely love films without the basic happy ending, and the horror of Good Boy goes beyond its psychological moments, but it leaves us with the realization that the world allows men like Christian to exist unchecked, excused, and even desire. What makes Good Boy so traumatic is not simply its bizarre premise, but it is the recognition of the truth. We recognize Sigrid's rationalizations because they mirror our own. We recognize Christian's masquerade his true form with his charm because we've seen so many examples of this in the past. We recognize Frank's submission because we know how power can bend people into silence. Just think about your social circle. I'm sure you know at least one, if not more, examples of that. It could be even being yourself in the past, and if most important, if that relates with you in the current relationship you are, please go seek help. Good Boy belongs to a tradition of European psychological horrors that blurs absurdity with real life. If not take anything from this video, at least take some of these recommendations over here. Some of the works of Yorgos Lanthimos, like Dogtooth, The Lobster, and The Killing of the Sacred Deer. Michael Haneke's famous Funny Games, and Lars von Trier, Dogville, films that confront the audience more than entertaining them. And please, 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 give me more of that. And also has a more modern approach and speaks directly to contemporary anxieties about dating culture, online romance, and the way wealth and charisma distorts judgment. You know, when people talk about red flags, well, Good Boy offers what I think is one of the most ultimate red flags, and still dares to show us how easily some people can learn to ignore it. Thank you so much for watching this video that comes from a fan to another fan. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the movie. Let me know in the comments what are your thoughts about Good Boy. Definitely one of the most absurd, interesting, and intriguing movies I ever watched. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. I want to hear from you. I'm going to try to start more debates on this type of videos over here. So if you want to waste 1-2 minutes of your time and just drop a comment about the video and obviously the movie, please do so. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.